I am Blaze Bailey. You are experiencing probably the best show in the world, Puppets Corner.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Puppets Corner. I'm thoroughly excited to be doing yet another in-person interview, and I got the guys from Withermoon. How you guys doing, man? Thanks again for coming on and hanging. Been a long time. I haven't seen you guys in a couple of years now. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining.
Fucking album just dropped. Super happy to be here. Haven't seen you in a couple years, and we're close friends.
Absolutely.
Your former co-host.
We should introduce everyone to everyone. So let's do that, dude. Go ahead.
All
go
right.
ahead.
I am Alec Nefarious.
I am Nazareth.
And of course, you guys don't need to know who I am. But gentlemen, thank you again for coming on and hanging. Really appreciate it. So, dude, so before we even get to the album, what's been going on in the Withermoon camp as far as even, I guess, live performances and whatnot? Have you been doing a lot more since we last kind of spoke?
I mean, when COVID shut down, we didn't do anything for like a year and a half, and then when we picked up, we were playing pretty regularly. Like at least like every other month. But yeah, it's kind of been following that trend more or less.
Yeah. So again, with it's kind of funny with black metal especially. I've noticed a trend of like not doing as much interviews as other types of metal genres. Can I say, to be perfectly honest? Why do you think that specific aspect is?
Honestly, a lot of dudes just think they're too cult, or a lot of them just straight up, they're not social people. They don't want to fucking talk to anybody. I'm one of them. I only like to talk when I'm drunk.
Well, you're almost there.
Yeah, right.
So right off the bat, I've noticed and we should obviously mention the title of it. The title of the record is a testament to our will. It's a tongue twister for me. It's going to take me a few moments a few times for me to get it right. But right off the bat, I noticed the drum work, dude, and I got to get to you, Nazareth, where you've come a long way since even jamming in my garage and whatnot. So I'm just kind of curious, how often were you playing the drums as opposed to, say, the guitar? Because I know originally you were playing guitar a lot.
Yes, right? Yeah. So drums, I kind of picked it up more when I had a place in Santa Ana where I was like doing more active band practices, and yeah, I picked it up more then. But I remember, it was the old Madrasa drummer that was teaching me in the beginning when it was in your garage and stuff.
Zach?
Yeah, Zach was teaching me drums, and I was just terrible. I mean, I was terrible when I first started, like everyone.
What about the drums kind of does it for you as opposed to, say, the guitar? Do you just feel more comfortable just beating the shit out of stuff, or is it?
Well, I mean, I feel comfortable with guitar too, but yeah, I don't know. Drums, I feel like is a little. No, I'm not going to say easier because they're both hard in their own ways, but drums is more like muscle memory as opposed to like guitars. What's the word? You got to think more on the spot, I feel like, with guitar.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So do you feel more comfortable with keeping time? Is that just what is it in your nature?
I don't know. Maybe. I've never really thought about it. I mean, I like both instruments equally. It's just I play drums for Withermoon. So that's what I've been doing more lately.
So has it been the default instrument because nobody has a fucking drummer? So you just
kinda, yeah, honestly. Yeah, it's not like I favor drums over guitar or anything like that.
And obviously let's even get some history on Withermoon and how you guys initially hooked up. Obviously, we've been in the same scene. We've been to the same high school, if I'm not mistaken. So
yep.
But you guys, I don't think, hung out a heck of a lot in during the high school years. So how did you guys initially meet and just become close friends?
We met in high school. I'm pretty sure you introduced us, actually. And yeah, we weren't so close then, but
Yeah, you were a senior when I was a freshman,
Yeah.
so we were only at high school for 1 year together.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Wasn't that the case with you too, or were you?
think I'm 2 years older than you.
Yeah, you were
So,
junior when I was freshman.
correct. So I went to there for 2 years.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the first year you went there, we played bull stock together.
Was that the first year?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
2008.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
Fun stuff.
crazy. It was so long ago. But how did, regardless of the fact, so obviously you met in high school. What about it clicked for you both? Were you into the same kind of styles of music or bands? Because you went, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you had a stint with Dismissed at one point.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't even remember that far back. I know I'm going back a ways.
Oh
but-
yeah. Yeah, that band, it's not around anymore, but that was fun stuff too. I'm not really sure what happened. We just kind of lost
Fizzled.
touch. Yeah, just kind of fizzled, I guess. I'm not really sure.
And that demo is really hard to find. I wish I had a copy of.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
still
you can
haven't
find
heard it.
To
It'd be maybe on like MySpace, but like everything's deleted off there now, I think.
To Lands Unknown, I think was the.
Into Lands Unknown. I
Into-
love that song. That was my favorite song.
But so obviously you were into the black metal stuff, and simultaneously you were doing Necroticus, right? Obviously we all played shows together. I think we played all three of us bands at one point with Xanthocroid. So did you guys connect right kind of in that specific time period, the 2008, 2009?
I would say, yeah. So it was like the year that I graduated, because at some point he ended up being Necroticus' drummer. And so obviously we were hanging out a lot then, right? And he may have been you were bass or guitar from Adrost.
I was guitar for Madras.
He's our original guitar
so-
player.
So I think he was playing guitar and doing drums for Necroticus like at the same time or around the same time.
Oh my gosh, you're a busy guy.
Was I in? I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Were you in playing guitar for Madrost when you were drumming for Necroticus?
I'm trying to remember back. Do you remember? Do you recall?
That's what I'm asking.
It might
the
have.
questions.
I don't know. I might have. I'm all mixed up. It all kind of melds together, you know.
Yeah.
It might have been at the same time. It might have been at separate times. I'm not really sure. It was all back in like high school.
I wasn't aware that you played drums with Necroticus back in those times.
It was short. I never did.
yeah,
I never
they-
did a show.
He never performed with them, and then I left. Like he was in when I left.
Oh, I see. So, but that was when your military days.
Oh no, military came like 3 years after.
Okay.
No, that
See, I
was
don't-
just me just bumbling around doing shit.
Well, so what about Necroticus impressed you enough to actually want to kind of jam with him? Were you just hanging around and they just needed somebody to fill in, or?
I'm trying to remember back to how it all came up. I mean, I always wanted to play black metal. I don't know. I think I wasn't doing stuff in Dismissed at the time. Was it? Maybe it was Zach that contacted me, or you? Do you remember?
I don't. I was actually just thinking about that. I'm like, I don't remember who actually brought you in, who talked to you about
Yeah,
it
this
or
was when
whatever.
like who all? Yeah, Richard was in the band and Logan.
Yeah, it was Richard, Logan, Zach, me, and you.
Yeah, I remember Zach would. This was before I even had a car. Zach would pick me up and give me a ride.
Yeah.
Were you doing the hourly thing or jamming at somebody's house, or?
It was
Just-
It was a house, but it
Yeah.
was honestly like to this day probably the dopest band room I've ever seen.
yeah.
It had a stage. It had a swamp cooler. Like it was so fucking awesome.
What is a swamp? What is a swamp cooler?
Swamp coolers. It's not like an AC in the sense that it like, actually chills the room. It's kind of like a giant ass fan that you can like dump ice into, and it will blow cool air then, but it just blows a very high volume of cold air.
Now, were you kind of learning how to play shows, I guess, more comfortably with this specific practice room?
Well, that was the goal, but with Necroticus in those days, we just, we were constantly replacing members. We didn't really get to play shows. So at least while I was in Necroticus, like way back in the day, before it became a more established thing, which was when I was in the Marine Corps. So years later, it was, mostly just replacing members. And we had only played 4 total gigs. One was the Backyard. You remember? You were in at that one. 2 Bullstock and 1 at Hoagie Bar Michaels.
Right, that was the show I was referring to with the Dismissed and Xanthocroid and us and you guys. I remember that show.
Those were the shows where you were vocalist, right?
Yeah.
Because after there was Ryan Raymer who was vocalist.
That's way
see,
later.
That's
like,
way later?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I'm
like
talking-
3.
Yeah, my
4
timeline is not good.
Yeah, that's like 3-4 years later.
Oh, okay.
I guess after I left, I think they met up a couple times, and then they just kind of scattered. And then when I think Zach probably moved to Illinois or something, he did that like 3-4 times. I don't know. And then when he came back, he hit up musicians. He found Austin and Jacob. And I think that maybe you knew Austin and Jacob, or I don't know how you came back into that. And then Ryan Raymer was a friend, and that's my understanding of how that kind of happened.
Interesting. Now, why do you think that was with the turnover? Was it just not clicking on a musical level or personality wise? I mean, to the best of your
back in the day?
Correct. Yeah, with all this turnover that you had literally just mentioned.
I think it was kind of personality stuff more than anything. And it was probably myself and Zach mostly. Between the two of us, we would just like scare people away. Because we would be like kind of like commanding dickholes, you know, like ain't nobody want to deal with that shit. Nobody wants to be told what to do.
Well, but Necroticus has always been this like over the top dramatic style of black metal. It's because you've always infused the gothic aspects to it.
Zach was very heavily influenced by Cradle of Filth. So,
and you had my point in all this, and you had all the technology to keep kind of making songs and whatnot, but nothing ever came out of it. So I was always curious and wanted to ask you guys this, why that specific aspect never came to flourishing. Because like you guys at that specific point were like very ambitious and wanted to create, you know, an album. And back in the time period that I'm talking about, it was not the norm for us bands to do that, to have a record out. Most of us just kind of had demos.
We didn't know any better. We didn't know what was we had enough material for a record. So we were kind of just trying to get all of it. You know what I mean? It was like, why just record 3 songs when you have 7?
But even the 7 never came to fruition. I was just
I know. Oh, trust me, I know. I was there. But yeah, no, it's like I said, we were in this constant cycle of training new members as other members would leave.
I see.
Or a member may get lazy, even though he wouldn't actually go anywhere. Practice would kind of halt as a result of that, especially when their house is where we jam. You know, it's just kind of how it was. It was this constant cycle of replacing members. So by the time they're up to speed, somebody leaves.
Now for you, I'm curious, did that ever discourage you from wanting to keep playing with Necroticus during that specific time period?
I think, why did I stop playing with Necrotic? I think, yeah, a lot of the members changed because I know you went to the Marines. We stopped because the lineup changed, like almost like everyone changed. I think the only member that stayed the same was Zach. That's when they got Ryan Raymer, Jacob, Austin. I don't know if there was anyone else. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think we stopped and it kind of like reformed and I wasn't contacted. I don't know. I think that's what happened because it was all different people, you know what I mean? And I didn't know those guys at the time. So I don't know.
I think when Zach came back to California again, he like just put out an ad or something and he found Austin and Jacob from that. And they knew Ryan Raymer, so they just got together. And he's like, whoa, there's actually people that listen to black metal now around here? Like, what? Because, you know, in high school, that was kind of hard to find, but we also just didn't really know where to look.
Well, back in those times, too, and you guys can both remember this, the only way to, like, see if there were, like, bands needing members was to go to, like, Guitar Center and the magic bulletin board.
I believe Zach said that it was Craigslist. He put an ad on Craigslist and they replied to it.
I see. Well, that's one aspect, but a lot of the times it was like going to Guitar Center.
You would put like tabs on a flyer that you can just rip out and just hope for the best, basically. Like, yeah, I remember those. We did that a lot.
Old school.
Oh yeah. We had more success with colleges than we did with guitar centers, though.
Interesting. Now let's move ahead real quick to what you guys obviously are doing now. Obviously, Necroticus is no longer a band to my knowledge. And you can correct me if I'm wrong here. What prompted you guys to start Withermoon and keep going with the black metal style per se?
Okay, so with that, this is me coming back to California from the Marine Corps on the East Coast. And, you know, I would go hang out with Nazareth here at the Cold Void rehearsals and Zach, and, you know, made buddies with them all. Talked to my buddy who I really liked his guitar styles. This is Napi, the lead lead guitarist, primary composer at this time. And I begged him to like, hey bro, let's start a band. And he said no the first 2 times, and the third time I said, hey, we're starting a band. He's like, all right, whatever. So I'm at their practice and I'm like, hey, funny question, you guys know a drummer? And Ryan's like, I'm down. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I remember that exact moment. I think I told you, I was like, oh yeah, I want to play drums for like a black metal band. And you're like, oh, I'm like trying to start one. And then yeah, I just joined that way.
And the name we had originally was The Evils of Man, which we never even discussed. That's just what I was calling it, and everybody just went with it for a while. And it was after the first show that they decided they wanted to change the name, so we had this, you know, long several-week voting process, and Withermoon is the one that won. Actually, the ironic thing, it wasn't even voted in. Somebody was just like, how about Withermoon? It was one of the names on the list, and it wasn't even one that people had voted for. And all of us were like, all right, yeah, fuck yeah, why not? So we were actually almost called one of the songs on the record Abhorror. That was almost our name. That was one of the popular picks between us.
Now, what does Withermoon mean to each of you? I want to ask each of you guys, to you, what does it represent? The specific name to you personally?
Dying moon. Moon represents the night, represents lunacy, craziness. Dying, aren't we all? That's all it's about. It's just this utterly negative name. Withering is just, it's not even dead. It's the process of dying slowly.
It's an interesting concept. But to you, is there any like inner turmoils or inner like thoughts, I guess, with the specific name? Does it represent anything that obviously, you know, not just by definition, but I'm just saying internally to you, what does that represent?
Oh, nothing.
Oh,
it was
okay.
literally a name that I thought sounded kind of cool. Brought it to the guys. There was a list of like, I don't know, 160 band names that I came up with when they wanted to change the name. So we
Did you write a
voted.
book? You brought a whole book or a whole essay?
No,
or?
I just wrote them down and I looked up all the definitions, and then I cross-checked them all with Metal Archives to make sure they weren't taken.
It's what you got to do now, you know?
Yeah, there's so
Pretty
many.
much. You know, I should have actually done a Google search too,
What would that?
because I found well, they're not around anymore, but there was a band called Withermoon in Canada that was a like psychedelic doom band.
Interesting.
And the bigger problem that we have is this fucking app game, like phone game, I'm pretty sure, called War Dragons, that has a like expansion called Withermoon. So if you do a Google search of Withermoon, half of it is us and all of our random shit, and the other half is all that game.
I did not know about this. That's funny. That's annoying. At the same time,
It's a little bit, yeah.
Funny and
Not gonna lie.
annoying.
Now, I want to move to a different aspect. I think Ryan was, excuse me, I think Nazarene was.
Ryan Nazareth. It all
yeah.
refers to me.
I don't know. I'm trying to give you guys the mystique. I don't know if that's a thing, but I don't want to call you by your first names. But
I mean, I'm the only one with 2.
okay.
Everybody else, like, we kind of just refer to them by their stage name solely, but like on the Metal Archives, they're known by their like.
All right. Well,
So Ryan Nazareth.
So okay. So I think Ryan was a part of this. Do you remember the Necroticus meme with the wedding photo?
That was Cold Void.
Yeah,
That was
that was
Void.
Cold.
Yeah.
Sorry. My apologies for that. But
Oh yeah, no.
I think you were a part of that.
Yeah, I was
I'm
in
not-
that.
Yes, he was.
So can you give me the rundown on how that actually happened?
It was just random, was not planned at all. We were just gonna go take photos for our album in this forest, and I guess there was just some couple that happened to be there at the same time that was taking photos for their wedding, and they saw us there, and you see like a bunch of dudes painted up. It's kind of out of the ordinary, so it's like, oh yeah, let's go take a picture with these guys. It's whatever. So yeah, and then I don't know, it went viral. I guess was not expecting.
Yeah,
that.
I was still in the Marines, and I saw that shit all the way on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I like actually I hit up Zach. I'm like, bro, is this you? He's like, yeah, and talking about it. I'm like, what the fuck? It's nuts.
Did that change anything for you? Did you start to get a lot of like positive feedback? I'm assuming.
Oh
you got-
yeah,
you got
dude,
the
like
negative.
a lot, like a ton. It was weird, but at the same time, I have mixed feelings about it because I'd rather be known for like the music and not for some meme. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it got us a lot of attention, which is cool, but was it for the right reason?
Do you think it was?
I don't know. It wasn't ultimately my decision to allow our name to be like put on that. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
What do you think? They just found out? They had to do their own research and to find out?
Well, no, they asked us like, oh, this like photo went viral. Like, do you want like your name attached to like your band's name attached to this?
Who's they?
The photographer, the person that took that wedding photo, they messaged us saying that it went viral. And then like, I don't know, it was mainly one of the other guys who was like, yeah, put our put our name on it or whatever, so people know.
It's so sad that the band didn't go further with that though too.
They could have if they wanted to, but they didn't, and I respect it.
Was it just the black metal thing to just not do anything? Is
Well,
like, that's what I'm starting to get
for
from
every
this.
band, it's really what the fuck they want. A part of it is luck, but ultimately you go as far as you want to.
Well, it's like, do you want to be known like when people think of your band, do you want to be known like, oh, when I think of this band, it's like this? Do you think of this meme? Like, I don't want to like people to think, oh, this band, oh yeah, they're the meme or whatever. Like, nah.
That's interesting. See, I would think that I would use that to my advantage more so and say, hey, we have a new record out, and just fucking use the shit out of that. Squeeze all the juice.
See, as the front man and composer of your band, you have the business like mindset for that, because I get it. I would at least, if I wouldn't run with it, I would have at least thought about it. You know what I mean? Like, because seeing that potential there. But with them, they didn't want that kind of notoriety. You know, they a lot of people in black metal, like, they don't really aim to be big, and that's why they don't like. They just do it for the music, man. They just want to play. They just want to fucking write music. A lot of them don't even want to play. A lot of them don't play. You know, you have all those one-man bands. They don't play. Not really. Leviathan does not play. Burzum does not play.
Yeah, I don't think Judas Iscariot plays either. I don't think they're a band anymore, but I know that's one.
But you see what I mean?
Sure.
And then, you know, some do, and some get the attention that they want, but it's really how far you want to go. That's why I didn't seek like a real, like a straight up fucking record label. I didn't even try. I wanted something a little bit more simple that gets me what I want and need, and maybe we help them out a little bit. And I love my guy in Iron Deck Black Mass. He was also a fellow Marine, and his unit was actually very close to mine, so we connected on that. Basically, you know, he paid for it. He's selling the CDs in his store. He has the bulk of them. He sent us the 20%, which we paid nothing for. And, you know, that's like our cut for it. But ultimately, like, that's exactly what I wanted. He did a lot more for us too. He kind of went above and beyond and, you know, talked to more people, got us on other channels, and sent some to the UK, some to South America, you know, so.
So let me ask you this: what if that happened to Withermoon? Let's just hypothetically say this: the same situation happens, right? Let's say it didn't even happen to Cold Void, but it happened to Withermoon. They just happened to be what?
I can already answer that question because
Okay.
I've thought about it.
Okay.
I would do exactly what they did. I may write out some little tiny parts of it, but for the most part, I'd probably try to ignore it and hope that it just kind of goes away to an extent, because I don't want to get that big. And there's a balance there. Basically, I want to be able to play with the major touring black metal bands from Europe when they come down here. That's my ultimate goal. That's what I want out of it. But do I want 1,000 messages from some stupid ass motherfuckers saying some stupid shit all the time? No, I don't want to deal with that.
Interesting.
I'm not drunk 24/7. That's the only time I like talking to people, bro. Can't stress that enough.
So with this in mind, I think it would have. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just thinking of as a business minded person, but I also know too that Cold Void didn't have a record out at that specific point too. So there's nothing really to promote, I guess, with the whole meme. So I think the meme came.
We busted out a demo real quick
Yeah.
after that. No, we had the
They
songs
did.
like ready. We had the songs ready. They were written, right? But we like recorded that shit like we're all right, we're gonna take advantage of this. We're gonna get like something real quick out right here. So yeah, we just got like a 3-song demo out, and then we just it got a lot of attention.
That's
and then
amazing.
it doesn't hurt that, like, so a band goes viral and they don't have anything out, but then they put something out and then, you know, it's actually like pretty good. Unfortunately, they don't play those songs anymore.
And well, unfortunately, I don't even. Is Cold Void still happening? Is that still a thing?
It's like hiatus.
Okay, so there
Yeah.
goes my that's my other point to it, right?
This might be a good time to actually say it. We are looking for a drummer. So
That's actually genius. That's the perfect
Yeah.
time to say it.
I don't know. Got to be into black metal. Got to like fit the look. Got to be good at your instrument.
It's interesting
Reliable.
It's interesting that you don't want to play the that instrument with them.
Well, because Cold Void is like the music I write. Like I don't really. Well, I'm starting to write for Withermoon now. None of the songs that we have, I've not written any Withermoon song that exists. But I'm just now kind of starting to write for Withermoon. But Cold Void was like my music, so that's why I don't want to play drums for Cold Void. I'd rather play guitar.
Interesting. What are you gonna bring differently to the Withermoon camp than you would say Cold Void as far as writing goes?
Man, I'm trying to write different, but every time if I play some shit, they're all like, "That sounds like Cold Void." I'm like, "Fuck."
You know, like, to me, that's not a problem. I never wanted Withermoon to be one thing. You know, black metal is pretty fucking broad. And I think there's room for, you know, a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Interesting. So are you gonna? It'd be kind of cool to see you guys. I mean, I'm just a music fan, so you know, with black metal, it seems like it's always one dimensional stuff. It's either the blast beat or it's the standard. You know, I would say the standard Withermoon beat because you guys do it all the time, especially on track. You know, the opening track to the record, right? It starts off with your specific drum beat of just a, you know, kind of thing. I would like to see more like clean guitar aspect being implemented into black metal just as a whole genre itself.
Well, there are a lot of black metal bands that do that. Like, there are a lot.
Like
We haven't
atmospheric
actually-
black metal.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet. But, you know, the door's open. Like, we have distortion pedals. We can make that happen.
Well,
If anything, I'd like to mess with keyboards
Ooh.
in music.
I've been thinking about that
Yeah,
too. Actually.
keyboards is
Just
always
just a
great
little
in
bit.
black metal.
Just
Yeah,
like-
not over. You could definitely overuse it and make it sound like not good. But if it's used like to the right extent, it makes it sound amazing.
do you think that can apply to every other kind of extreme genre? I always thought like see with
Yeah, keyboards do like
they do a
awesome
lot of-
shit for like every.
I mean, even like
every
brutal
genre,
death metal,
yeah.
keyboards and brutal death metal.
I've heard it and it was dope.
I mean, I've never heard it. I can't really imagine. I don't know.
Criminy from here,
oh yeah,
they were like that.
oh yeah, I haven't heard that name in ages.
Yeah, dude, that shit blew my mind. I was like, holy fuck. How is this not like a more common thing?
I think it's because most people don't want to take those chances in music because obviously I think there's like a negative connotation, but who gives a shit? If two people like it, then fucking do it for those two people.
Well,
because you're going to do it for you're doing the music for yourself. you know,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, fuck everybody else. Do it for you.
right? I mean, we implemented the keyboard aspect on our last record, or our last 2 records, and they've been fucking selling like hotcakes. So goes to show it doesn't, it just whatever adds, I guess, more to the music. That's what counts the most, because you want to impress the listener. At the end of the day, it's like, obviously you want to impress yourself, right? But it's nice to have the listeners get on board with what you're doing. And I always felt with black metal, because it's so one dimensional, not a lot of people can get into the black metal aspect. But I guess that's fine, because black metal is mostly music for, the musicians that create it, I guess.
Sort of. Black metal, I mean, all metal is pretty broad. Black metal is, and maybe this is just my perspective as being somebody that's, really into it. It just seems like the spectrum of black metal is more broad than most. And that, just like, okay, so you mix things with death metal, right? You have death thrash, you have black death.
Yeah, some black metal sounds almost just like death metal. Like, you'd show it to someone who doesn't listen to
Like,
death metal, they would just be like, "Yeah, this is death metal."
A lot of
Like,
war black metal sounds like death metal to me. Like, a lot of it does.
There's a lot of raw stuff.
Yeah.
Clean cut stuff. I like the raw stuff personally.
But then, it's known for the symphonic black metal. It's known for the the ambient and the depressive. I've heard banjo in black metal, and it was kind of dope.
What, Panopticon?
I was thinking of Take.
Oh yeah, Take. They both, yeah. There's multiple bands that do like weird
This is
shit
what
like
I'm
that.
saying, like, it's so vast. I always refer to it as being malleable.
Do you think that comes from the influences of black metal in general? Because Bathory is a prime example of a band that literally did whatever the fuck he wanted to do, and everybody else almost copied it. The whole Norwegian scene, after listening to the first 3 Bathory records, there's nothing better than those first 3 records for me personally, just as a music fan.
Those are my favorite. My favorite of the Bathory records is the first 3, the first 4 actually.
Yeah, I would say 2, 3, 4. Not so much the first one for me, but
see, I loved the first one and the Return, but I especially loved the Mark. Oh gosh, damn it! What the fuck is it called?
Under the Sign of the Black Mark.
There you go.
Yeah,
it's always a tongue twister. But my point is that seemed to be almost like a perfect record. It was a 3rd album from the band. He wasn't afraid to,
just him at that point.
Yeah, well, I think he had like a drummer jamming with him too.
As far as I know, it was him. Like, after the first record, it was all just him.
I'm not exactly positive. He might have had one or
I could be wrong. That's just my.
He's obviously the main guy, but he might have had. I could be wrong.
Well, I believe Corthon hired a drummer with a ridiculous name to do the drums on it. But my point in this whole ramblings that I'm doing right now is he's almost like the creator of modern black metal, I would say, with those first 3 albums, because after that, that's when the door opened for stuff to be emulated like that. There was no band doing what Bathory was doing in 1985, 1984.
No, not really. No.
So, but he did whatever he wanted in those records. And because of that, it made it okay for other black metal bands to implement keyboards, to implement different styles in that specific music. Do you know what I mean? And then to a certain point in black metal, it became this monotonous thing. Like, people stopped being innovative with black metal.
Well, no. They never stopped being innovative with black metal.
Cool. I like it. Prove me wrong here.
Okay. No, dude. They've done just about. They still surprise you too. When I just saw Abigail Williams not that long ago, like, they blew me away because they were using all these crazy effects that you never hear in black metal, but they were still black metal as fuck, still super evil. And even the vocalist, like, he's holding back the whole time. He's chugging cold beer. And as a vocalist, I'm like, how the fuck are you keeping up with these highs and drinking cold beer? How the fuck does that work? I know better. And at the end of the day, I'm just like blown away by how different their whole new album is. And the Chris from Vili Chaos, he was also part of that show. He was playing with them. He was touring with them. So they had the cello live as well.
Well, that's one anomaly band. I'm just talking, I guess, raw black metal for me.
Well, raw black metal is just one subgenre of black metal. And yeah, in raw black metal, it might get a little bit monotonous because that's just the one thing. But what I'm saying is black metal as a whole has a very large spectrum of it.
Just like any subgenre or genre of music, I would
Yes.
say. Yeah.
But so what I'm saying is it's people that have never stopped creating or doing new crazy things with it.
Right. I guess I wasn't saying as a whole of black metal. I was just saying for, I guess, a certain type of black metal. I've noticed that there is not a lot of innovation when it comes to, I guess, the raw stuff. But what is
the raw stuff is not supposed to be innovative. It's supposed to be exactly what it's called, raw.
Yeah, it shouldn't change.
Yeah, it's what it's always been. It's like fucking just pure fucking hate straight out of the heart.
now? What is a depressive, suicidal black metal? Isn't that a subgenre?
That's a weird one.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in that one. I like that one a lot too.
It's cool. It's cool,
Yeah,
but it's
a good,
weird.
It's a good subgenre.
They use a lot of major chords, which is already weird for black metal. And it's like a lot of it that I hear is like simultaneously like almost kind of like happy, but also super fucking sad at the same time.
You'd have to hear it for that to make sense.
You really do. Like it's a crazy thing. It's almost like a lot of the songs that I know are depressive because I get confused on what is generally classed as that sometimes. But a lot of those songs are almost like the whole song is like one long way of saying goodbye.
It's an interesting concept. What is the band with? They didn't really do this, but it was like a PR thing where they stapled like pig hands to their. Was it Shining? Is that what the band is? I'm thinking of. Where they literally went into a sane asylum and recorded it, and that's the album.
I think I know what like album cover you're talking about.
Yeah.
It looks like his arms are chopped. I don't know a whole lot. I mean, I've listened to that band. I don't know.
It's weird, man.
Yeah,
It's
I couldn't really get like the taste for it. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what the story behind that whole like picture is. I've always been kind of curious though. I don't know.
I've always read that it's like they recorded it at like an abandoned church or something, where like they used to have a psych ward or something, or they went into an abandoned psych ward to record, and that like they had all these trippy noises. Or
I feel like somebody has definitely done that before. And I think I've heard this story before. I don't remember what band it is. I don't want to say it's The Shining. It doesn't really, for me, and what little I know about them, that doesn't really seem like exactly
I could be
what they would
completely
do.
wrong here. But my point all this is
That's a question for Chris.
black metal to me has done some crazy stuff. I'm not talking smack on it. I love my black metal, but to me it just seems like all that kind of stuff originated from, to me, the first three Bathory, with I guess some of the Venom stuff that made it okay for you guys, for that specific genre of music, to just go off, because he does a lot of interesting stuff in those, especially the Under the Sign of the Black Mark record. I don't know. That shit was life changing when I heard it.
Well, that's really the first time anything like that had been done.
Sarcophago is a prime example. That same year, same.
There's a lot of bands that do fall under that, kind of black metal category. So, for instance, from here, the first black metal band from the United States as their class and called is Absu. But to me, when I listen to Absu, I don't hear black metal. I hear death metal. They're from Texas. They're cool. They're huge. They're awesome. But would I really define that as black metal based on their sound? No, I wouldn't. I guess they identified that way, though, which is why they are considered to be the first. They're the earliest to do it here that anybody knows of.
What year? Do you know what year that was? Or what year they started?
No, I never looked that up.
It's like the 90s or something, wasn't it? Has to be the 90s.
I just know that the first three, to my knowledge, for the United States are supposed to be Absu, and then Vaughn, and then Ritual.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know Ritual was number 3. I didn't know they started that early.
They've been around for a fucking minute, bro. And then Ritual would also technically then be the first from LA,
Or California,
to my
itself,
knowledge.
correct? Is Vaughn
Well,
from Cal-
Vaughn is when I try to research into that, it's like they're like kind of from Hawaii and kind of from California. So I don't fucking know.
It's an interesting concept. I like our black metal talks. I like learning about these specific genres of music. Let's go back to the Withermoon record. I'm just curious for you guys, what were some of like the most difficult moments, I guess, to when in recording this specific album? Is this like a one take kind of deal, or did you kind of do it in parts as a band? Did you record it all in a room and that's what came out of it?
We did it in our band room. The band recorded in one day. Like it was a live recording. So both guitars and the drums played together. They did a couple takes to try to, get the best version of it. And because I'm a stickler for shit like that, I've seen or heard a few bands do it. So Young and in the Way is one of them, where the transitions in their records seem seamless. As in, like, one song transfers into another and you don't even know when it started, sort of. So we tried to do a couple of those where we just played two songs together with feedback between and put delay on the feedback so it sounds kind of nice and whatever. But so everybody except for me and my co-vocalist John, who plays guitar also, they all recorded in one day. Me and John had 2 other sessions, and that's all we had. Any more, and they would have charged us more, which, as cheap as it was, I couldn't afford. So we worked with what we had. But yeah, we gave it our all. We did our best with what we could do.
Now, for you specifically, what were some of the harder, more challenging moments, I guess, on this specific release? Because, I mean, it's like I said, it's your first debut album too, so this probably was a joy to do, just based off you guys playing these songs over and over and over again for years and years and years.
I know it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, most of those songs are at least 3 years old.
Wow. So for you, what were some of the difficult challenges that you kind of had to overcome being a drummer?
Well, the way we did this record, I actually liked a lot more than some of the stuff I've done in the past, because we did it, well, not live, but like the guitars and the drums were going at the same time. So I wasn't using click track. Drumming, like recording drums to a click track, is very difficult. I don't like it at all. Yeah, I mean, doing it to guitar to a click track is like pretty all right, but drums is you gotta have like really good headphones for that to work, because it's so hard to hear. I think did we try doing that on the Withermoon demo? Is that how we did that with the click track?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one was a hard one to do, but the way we did this one was a lot smoother.
I like it. And I bet you it gives you some freedom to kind of move about the kit, so to speak, where you had the freedom to kind of be behind the beat or in front of the beat sometimes, and it kind of just would work better than playing just simultaneously to the click.
Yeah, because then you're trying to focus so hard on the click. You know what I mean? You're trying to stay in time, like you're using all your energy for that. But when you're just like jamming, it's a lot easier. It's just, I feel like you could play a lot better. You're more relaxed that way too.
And you probably get better performances from that having that specific aspect to it.
Yeah, I think so. I know so. It definitely, in my case at least, for me.
And considering the fact that we are still technically a raw black metal band, or even just being any black metal band, like them all jamming together where the sound isn't going to be as like crisp and beautiful as if you're like tracking individually, it works. Plus, we wanted to try to capture some of that live energy.
I think you did a great job on this, because it sounds like really produced, but it sounds also raw. You kind of have like the best of both worlds in a black metal record. This is very easy to listen to, I guess, is my point to all this.
Thank you. I would hope so.
And I think that's why you have so much. You guys are getting a lot of support for this, and it's well deserved, right? But I think you found a great balance in the overall mood, and there's still like great songs on here. Like I really love Sworn to the Razor. That's like my jam. That's the one I kind of clicked onto.
That's your favorite one?
I have a feeling that's gonna be like one of the favorites, if not the favorite.
Well, because it almost has a catchy chorus. I know it's like frowned upon in the black metal world, but it kind of like
I wouldn't say it's frowned upon. It's just not really done very much. A lot of more commercial bands do. So like Naglfar, they have fucking choruses.
I think with this though, I just locked onto it because of that. Like it was like, oh, I can sing along to this. Even I guess I can yell along to this, right? Because
Sure.
I can't do the black metal scream like you guys can. But
You kind of can.
as a listener though, and again, my knowledge of black metal isn't as large or vast as death metal or thrash and whatnot.
Vice versa.
I found this really enjoyable. It was easy to listen to. So I'm looking forward to hearing it again and again and again. So, how did you guys specifically find even your producer to produce this record? And your choices for him? Was he just the guy that was rightfully available at the time, or?
I was searching, and it was kind of luck that I didn't know that he produced. I knew that he liked us, and our band respected his band. His band was Kush Frost, and this is Mark and his company for production that he has is Patriarchy Sound. So with Mark, I didn't know what he could do. He sent me something that he did. He produced a death metal band. I don't remember what they're called, but I'm listening to it, and it reminds me of one of our friends' bands, Malignant. And for like a death metal band, I was super into that. It sounded like ultra classic, just awesome. Like even raw for death metal, which back in the day was kind of normal, It was awesome. So I'm hearing this, I'm like, with a few tweaks, this is almost exactly what I want. So I hit him up. He gave me a price, which was not going to find a better price anywhere else. I think that it was a big part of it was, the homie discount. And then, yeah, he actually even like re-upped a lot of his equipment for us, like bought better microphones for like the drums and for the amps and all that.
So he was upgrading his studio and using you guys as quote unquote.
He would bring his stuff to our studio, but he was upgrading his own arsenal of equipment. Yeah.
But he was using you guys as quote unquote like a guinea pig. I would say, because it's like, oh, let's see if this works with a band more so than my old microphones. I like that. I kind of like that.
Well, I think he just wanted to do right by us. I mean, not to my own horn, but we were kind of his, I guess, sort of premier clients for the time, so. He just wanted to do the best fucking job that he could, having high hopes for it and getting credit for it. Obviously, that as a businessman brings him more business and gets more out of it. Charge more for down the road. You build it up.
Now, how did he work with even finding the drums, like the sound, the mic placement? Did you guys kind of like listen to a couple records that you wanted to kind of emulate, and that's what the sound that you got?
Okay, so that would be all me, I guess, because I'm the one that he was sending tracks back. This is how we did it. He wouldn't let me come over. He would send the tracks. I would tell him what I would want. He would send the tracks to me. I'd listen. I'd be like, change this. This went on for a couple months, until we kind of found that sort of ideal ratio. And then he started putting the final mixes together. And then there was even 3 different versions of the master. So it was a pretty long process to get that to that point.
It's interesting. Now, what are your guys' plans as far as promoting this even further than say, and we'll get to how you guys kind of got in contact with the label, but I'm just kind of curious what you guys have planned for promoting this properly.
Not as much as I would like, but
We're making tapes and vinyls.
we are. Yes, our label is also doing. That's at Iron Deck Black Mass. Also doing tapes and vinyls for us, which will be coming out this year, later on throughout the year, and kind of scattered to say. So it's going to be almost like a 3-step release for the year.
Now, I haven't heard from Ryan a heck of a lot. What do you want to see out of this specific record that you haven't gotten in any of your past recordings? As far as a reaction goes, or as far as I don't know, you guys to be known or not known. I mean, what is your specific goal with this record?
I mean, just having one record out, you can only be like so, I don't know, I guess big per se. So I guess I wouldn't get anything out of it that I haven't gotten already, like out of the Cold Void record per se. But it's a step in the right direction for it to progress more than what I've like done. We'd have to get like more records out. That's what I want. I want more records. And that's how I think you become more of like an established band, because when people go to listen to you, it's like, oh, okay, I only have like one record to choose from when I listen to this band, as opposed to like, oh, I can listen to this band that has like 7 albums.
See, it's interesting that you say that black metal doesn't want to be known, but they want to be like respected and established.
Well, it's about the music. It's not. Yeah,
It's because they're artists, and not to say that anybody doing like, I don't know, death, thrash, whatever, doom, aren't. But it's a different kind of art. It's an art that's in a sort of where the passion is more important than the business component. And again, I'm not saying that's not true for everybody else necessarily, but especially for black metal, they don't necessarily aim for notoriety. You know, they
it could ruin the image you're trying to set.
It's one giant fucking art project, all of it. Like it
really is. It's a lot of it. It's
stops.
it's a lot about image, really.
Image, well, appearance is reality. Image is important, and what you're trying to sell is part of that. And I mean, if you're even trying to sell shit, there's a lot of bands that don't even charge. They just fucking put it out there, and they don't promote it. They just make it and then release, and that's it.
Interesting.
Yeah, sometimes there'll be a band that I'm like really into. I'll be like, oh, those pop up in my mind. I'm like, oh, I haven't listened to this band in a while. I'll just like look up on Metal Archives. I'm like, oh, what the heck? They released 2 albums. Like, when did I didn't even hear about this. Like, it's a pleasant surprise when I do come across things like that, though.
But do you take those bands more legitimately established just because they have more records out, or is it mainly like you like these bands, you take them more, I guess, not as serious because they don't take themselves as serious, I guess? Or is black metal this thing where they always take themselves way too seriously, so it's kind of a turnoff? Or is it somewhere in between?
Some bands do, some bands don't, and that's all a matter of opinion. You know, it's not like every black metal band wears corpse paint. The band that I would personally consider to be kind of one of the higher ranked for the Southern California scene, Imperialist, they don't wear corpse paint, you know. And then but the Draconian Oracle and Sicarius, who I would say would fall directly under them from, you know, the way I see things, both of them do.
Yeah, but Sergio is a great businessman. That's the difference between
He is,
Imperialist
and his label did a lot for them to begin with, and they're doing way more now. His label has come so fucking far, and it is really impressive.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm not discrediting the other bands either that you mentioned. I'm just saying he's always been more business oriented as opposed to a lot of the other bands.
Yeah, but I mean it's just, it all comes down to what every band individually wants for themselves. And in a lot of black metal bands, actually, I mean, fuck, obviously it's going to be the same for all other kinds of bands too. Like a big thing I see a lot where bands in black metal struggle, because there's a lot of them in LA, especially, you know, in other places, they get a lot more scares. But everybody is not really an alpha dog. They're like I think the term is like an omega wolf, the lone wolf. And you have a band of lone wolves, and eventually they're not going to want to fucking compromise. So a lot of bands black metal bands here have that issue.
Everyone wants it to be their band.
Exactly.
So there's like almost an elitist mentality.
Sort of.
I feel like that happens in every band,
I
though.
would-
Like not even just like metal. Like I feel like every band, there's always gonna be like I feel like every like successful band has like a front man, but then some people like they fight over that position to be the front man. Well, maybe not the front man, but like to be the to make the music or the one that calls the shots, I guess.
Oh, like that's all based in like ego and whatnot.
Yeah.
I was thinking like you were going where the fan mentality of the elitist fan, I guess, and every band has them. They all have, every band has the elitist fans that don't want them to change. They don't want like them to be.
Oh, yeah,
as
yeah.
They don't want the band to
they're-
change.
well, no, they don't want everybody else to discover them. Like,
Oh,
I see,
they're
okay.
your band. Like, this is my band.
Oh
Every
yeah,
band has them.
gatekeepers. There's a term for that.
Shit, that's new to me. I never heard that before.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is my band. It's like, what? Like, I don't know, stuff like.
Oh, this is the band that I know, and you can't know this band.
I showed you this band. Like, they're my band. Like, what the fuck? Like, you didn't make this music. They're not your band.
It's interesting that that is primarily happening a lot in the black metal scene. There's
Yeah,
a lot
that
of
does
those
happen
fans.
a lot.
It's like punk.
funny.
Punk bands do that all the time too.
Do they really? Huh.
That actually doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, that's news to me. I wasn't aware of it.
Well, because everything's so underground in those two genres of music.
Both of those genres like have this kind of mentality where there's a respect to be had in being underground.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you still want a lot of people to come to your shows, and whatever.
It's interesting that the like, how do they find the balance in what they actually want versus what they actually need?
Also, how in a world where we have social media, how do you stay underground?
it makes it impossible with the.
I mean,
internet.
even if you don't
impossible.
have, because there's a lot of black metal bands in LA that are dope, but they don't have Facebook, they don't have Instagram, and that is going to severely, obviously, limit their success, which they're obviously not trying to achieve. But that's their decision, and they do that for that exact reason. They still get found because people do, like me, they find their music, they search for it.
Do most of them have like a band camp though? Is that the only thing that most of these bands have? I think like that would be the most beneficial.
There's some that don't even.
Some don't even have that.
Not even YouTube.
Yeah,
not even
nothing.
Like well, I think there'll be some.
You can't
that are
really
on
avoid YouTube. If you play shows, you're gonna eventually.
Yeah, you can't avoid YouTube really, but
Or your fans will put you on YouTube.
yeah,
that's what we're saying. Like, you can't avoid that. Like,
Interesting. I'm just fascinated by the black metal kind of scene and whatnot. Now, can you guys tell me real quick, when it comes to what you guys want to do, I guess on the next record, is there something more that you would like to offer that you didn't get a chance to do on this specific release, on the debut album?
like I said, most of those songs are 3-4 years old, and we really needed this record to happen so that we can move on and start doing. We have one song that is complete, that is finished, that we already are playing live. That is not on that record. And we are like working actively on like 3 different songs right now. So it's about moving on. We needed this record to happen because we keep booking shows, and ain't nothing wrong with that. But when you play so frequently, you're always preparing for the show. You're not writing new shit.
Well, and also too, you guys now have something to promote, so it gives you more of an excuse to play live shows and whatnot. And they say you have your whole life to make your first record, but now let's see what you guys can do.
Hey, this is for me. This guy, he's had a couple like records that you've been on, right?
I've been on what was I on? What was I on any Madras recordings?
Our first demo, yeah,
The
we
first
did. Remember
demo?
we did Zombie Grinder into my garage. On, like, my
Yeah,
birthday?
yeah. What was it? It was like the three song demo, right?
It was,
on?
no, I think it was only that specific track and the live tracks that we put out.
Oh,
That demo was
okay.
like a mishmash of just
Different
bullshit,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and then what was I? trying to think.
You were
'cause-
like 13 or 14.
So I mean, I know. So you
no,
have the
not
Cold
that
Void.
young. It was like I was probably like 16, 15 or 16 probably.
You have the Cold Void record. Like I'm talking about a full length.
Oh, full like as far as full lengths go, like the Cold Void record's the only one I've ever done other than
this one. Okay.
other than Withermoon. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not that much more of a milestone for me than it is for you. But in my 15 years plus of doing music, being a vocalist, this is my first full length ever.
It's hard. That's like impressive.
Well, coming from the guy who has 4 full lengths, like it's
Well, it's impressive that you made one so late in your career, I guess is my point, because not a lot of people even get the opportunity to make a full length record.
that might be true, yeah.
Most
Yeah.
bands don't even get to the point of making 2 demos. They make a demo and they're gone, like Into Lands Unknown. Right?
I think it's just life happens and just I don't know. You get too busy for it's hard.
Well,
I
that's,
imagine after high school that increases by a large margin because now you have to work to live. Plus, marriage, kids, whatever happens, moving away to different states, and some bands still stay together like that. Gravespawn, one of their members lives in like the other side of the fucking country, and every time they play a show here, he flies down.
yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, like bands still do that shit.
I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Yep, that's why they don't play that much.
What are your guys' goals in terms of a longevity wise? I guess with music in general, do you want to have a legacy set in stone for you guys, or is it just like you want to only do a couple records and that's it, or is it you want to tour? The ultimate goal for me is just to tour the world, is to play in front of many people as possible. It's not the same for everybody.
That would be dope. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So my original goal was to play with Horna. We did that in the first 2 years. Go figure. I thought it would be at least 10 if Horna was even still around at that time. So then I'm like, I don't know, Mayhem. They're coming down. We're not playing with them though, unfortunately. Maybe in 5-7 years, whatever. But yeah, getting paid to play in Europe would be fucking awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I'd hop on that. But really, it's just seeing how far I can take it while, ironically, limiting the forward movement at the same time. Like more, not really limiting, controlling the forward movement at the same time.
Are you speaking creatively wise, or are you speaking?
Creatively wise, it happens when it happens. And so this is, I'm going to quote dude from, he was the vocalist who killed himself from that one band, Kettle Cadaver.
Oh yeah, what was his name?
I'm skipping on his name.
My cousin did the documentary Dead Hands Dig Deep.
Dead Hands Dig Deep. Yeah. He said, sometimes the gear's there, but there's no magic. And sometimes the magic's there, but there's no gear. It happens when it happens. You write songs when you write songs, and your songs are fucking magic when they're fucking magic. But you can't really plan for that to happen. You can be like, oh, we're going to work on new shit. And then, you try. Sometimes it's there. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're inspired. Sometimes you're fucking tired from working all day or whatever,
I think it's the best when you're by yourself. No one else is around writing stuff.
Well,
For me, at least.
What is your ultimate goal? Is for even just music in general? Do you want to have like a legacy built? Do you want to have multiple records and just kind of, because what a record is, for at least in my opinion, is kind of like a photograph. It's like, this is where I was at this time.
Oh yeah, yeah. But for me,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's more about the record. I want to make a lot of records.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's my kind of thing. I mean, the shows are cool. They're fun. But a record is that's like a part of history. You know what I mean? It's there forever.
It's something to show for all the effort.
Yeah,
because a show is like,
it's like a
might
legacy.
be a YouTube video of that, but you're gonna have way more listens of a record than you are watches of a YouTube video.
Well, I've always quoted this. I've always said this is, a show lasts one night. A record lasts forever.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's just my personal thinking of records, which is why I like to create record after record after record and whatnot. It just, to me, it's more fun to create and record rather than playing a lot of shows for no apparent reason. A lot of bands do. A lot of bands like to play shows for no apparent reason, and that's great.
I 100% agree with you on that one, though.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's my way of thinking.
You know, to be honest, like with shows, it's like if the bill's right. If I want to play with the bands that I'm playing with, that's like when I'm fucking down.
Well, it has to make sense.
Yeah,
For
if Horna
me-
shows up, you're playing that show.
Yeah. Well, so that's the one where it like makes sense because like maybe they book a bunch of bands that you don't necessarily want to play with Horna, but I'm saying like so like our next show, for instance, you know, like we know all of those bands. We've played with most of them. And the one band on that bill that we haven't played with, my wife is in. So, you know, fucking awesome, right?
Right.
There's that camaraderie there where we've all played together before. Well, maybe not all of us, but we've played with all of them before. And we all know each other. We all respect each other. So it's a fun ass fucking night where we're all hanging out. We're all talking between sets and fucking, you know, like supporting each other and all that shit. It's dope.
Do you think that like you'd ever want to, I guess, collaborate with any of these people and make like a ultimate fucking black metal SoCal black metal project? Just do like a couple records with that as well on the side, or is it just like you want all your eggs to be in the Withermoon basket?
I think that in the black metal community, we love to see each other at shows, and some of us like to hang out outside of shows, like our very small cliques. But I also think that all of us, for the most part, maybe not all, but I know for me and most of the people I know, they don't want to hang out or talk to people that often. It's shows is like the main fucking point of it, and maybe online you'd like fucking give a yeah, fuck yeah, bro, whatever, you know, all about the support, and support's real, but and the camaraderie is real, but it's more of a limited thing where it's going to be mostly at the show.
Okay, so there's no super groups, and you have no interest in doing
There's-
like super groups.
I mean, for us, no, but
No, for
there-
you.
Split. I mean, splits are good.
oh yeah, splits are dope.
Splits are always good.
Yeah.
We
If we got something new and there's a band that we like and respect that wants to do a split, we'll fucking do it. Nope, hands down.
Do you think that like compilations help a lot in communities as well? Because where I'm going with this is yeah, you can play shows, right, and whatnot, but I think being on a record all together, you know, your fans can probably get into, you know, this band, or my fans can get into this band kind of deal. Like there's always something new when putting a lot of us bands on a compilation.
I feel like that's the point of splits as well.
Correct. It's the
Yeah,
same thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Sort of. Like I would say compilations probably not. It's cool to be on. It's fun to participate in, but it's not really gonna do a whole lot for you. Like at least for, you know, like us and our sister, we were on a compilation, and this was the first time we played Runefest. That did nothing for us. Like, we're on this compilation, there were so many copies made, they were all sold there.
Well, that's why.
Well, that might perhaps be why, but people that care about compilations are people who are just discovering it for the first time. And I think it has its place, and I think it's great for metal as a whole. I'm not sure that for black metal specifically, if the interest is really there.
See, I'm speaking more of the bigger picture, not just as like one piece in the puzzle, right? I'm not speaking just for black metal. I was just speaking for the overall vibe, you know, for music in general. I think compilations are super beneficial. So
when I first started, and a lot of bands I discovered initially were from compilations. And this is what I'm saying. When you're getting into it, you know, my dad bought me a Nuclear Blast compilation. He bought me some other one, you know, like, and I discovered so many fucking bands. I mean, granted, these are all bands that are already on their label that is making this compilation. But my point is, like, that's how I found them.
But it's also made for the fan that's a fan of that specific band, like the completist.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
So if you're into a specific band and you're a completist, you have to have that compilation, that split or whatever, because and then that forces you to check out the other bands. That's why to me they're hugely beneficial.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like splits do like the job of like a compilation, but just like a better job of it. Because I feel like people like if you're a fan of like this specific band, you're probably more likely to check out a split from them rather than a compilation. Because there's gonna be more from them on a split rather than like a compilation. There's gonna be like one song from them. A
Well, yeah.
split, there's gonna be like maybe 3, possibly 4, something like that.
And you make a good point where you can have more of a better representation with a split than you could on a compilation because you only got that one song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think with most bands, right? Like for our record, no two songs really sound the same. And there are a lot of bands like that. So to be represented with one song
It's hard.
is kind of ridiculous, like to think about, like, so you put your best one forward, the one that you think people are going to like the most. So
And
you mentioned Sword of the Razor. That is one of the ones that I put forward as one of those songs because I think it would appeal to beyond the death metal crowd. I think it might even appeal to like the or beyond the black metal crowd. I think it would appeal to the death metal crowd. And that's the main reason why. Like so, and also Sword of the Razor, Abhorror, they're the two newest songs. So those are the two that I just put forward anyways.
right. So I guess with this in mind, I want to thank you guys again for coming on and hanging with me and doing this and helping me promote this killer record. Now, where can people find the Withermoon stuff? And tell me a little bit about the label that you guys are on.
At Irondack Black Mass. He's from New York. As far as I can tell, he does it mostly entirely himself. His store is actually pretty impressive. It seems like he works with a lot of bands from overseas, or he works with other labels to do distribution. So he sells it on the site. Like he has a lot of like big names on there too. But he does. We got introduced to him from our homies from Cultivodium. Not Cultivodium, as far as I know, is not on there, but Isatai, their guitarist's like solo project, is.
So you're speaking like a different language to me with all these fucking band names.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, the people that know it are gonna know it, So, anyways, he told me about them. I hit him up. We connected because of our, Marine Corps background, which brotherhood trust thing, sort of, It's trying to explain it in so few words. But, I just trusted him, and he was what I was looking for, which was nothing, I guess, fancy. I didn't want to sign a contract. I didn't want to, sell my soul, so to say. Like, I mean, I know that's not exactly what it is, but I wanted something simple, a simple trade. You make money off of us, you give us our own shit, basically, right? He did just that. He came through and he excelled. He went above and beyond. I couldn't speak higher praises, to be honest. Like, he was awesome. Still is. He's still working. And he's going to put out a tape cassette and also a vinyl version of our record also within this year. That's still going to happen.
And then hopefully, are you signed to him just with this one record, or do you have a couple records?
Technically, we're not even signed. We're working with him.
So it's a handshake deal. It's just like
basically, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
It's like a word of mouth deal.
Sort of. We communicate and we yeah.
Yeah, it's my word and your word, and we'll make sure that.
Hey, so far both of us has come through. So
love it. And where can people find it? I'm gonna ask Ryan over here, since
he's not gonna know that.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, I think I might know some places. I know a little bit of stuff. John usually handles all this kind of stuff, but I know we put it at Bionic Records, Dark Rum Records. You can buy it on Bandcamp.
You can buy the digital on Bandcamp.
Okay, you can't buy the physical on Bandcamp?
Nope.
All right.
So all the physical copies we have are for shows. And that is final. if you want a physical copy, there are plenty at irondarkblackmass.com.
I love it. Well, guys, thank you again for giving me a few minutes of your time and hanging with me. I generally, truly appreciate it. And let's hopefully get you back on here soon and talk some shop again. So
Good to go. I'm down.
absolutely. Well, another episode of Popper's Corner, guys. We're out of here. Cheers.